Throughout the lifespan of the Atari 2600, there have been many arcade-to-console ports. These include Centipede, Frogger, Missile Command, Joust, Mario Bros, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, and Miss Pac-Man. And on today's video, we're checking out another game, Qbert. Hi, this is Kevin from Happy Beard Games, and this is GAMERpiece Theatre. Yes, GAMERpiece Theatre. We're taking a look back at some of the classic arcade games and showing why they hold up, why they're good, why they're memorable, and what makes them special. From the golden age of arcade games and the golden age of video games, we're looking at video from the Atari 2600 port of Qbert by Parker Brothers, as well as the Sony PlayStation 1 edition of Qbert, which featured a 3D remake of sorts of the game with the same style of gameplay, plus a port of the arcade original, which we're looking at a little bit more. Developed by Gottlieb in 1982, Qbert is an action platforming game. In classic arcade style, you have one screen per level, and the objective here is to jump on all of the cubes, forming a pyramid on the screen. These cubes will change color once Qbert jumps on them. Once completing them all and changing them all to the same color, you complete that level and move on to the next. The graphics are presented in a pseudo 3D isometric view. In the Atari 2600 port, they're a little more toned down and flat and two-dimensional, but the gameplay does hold up. In the arcades, Qbert is controlled with a single joystick controller, as well as on the Atari 2600, you'll be using the standard joystick. You don't need to use any buttons in the game Qbert, as every time you move, he hops to the next cube automatically. So the jumping is controlled automatically as part of Qbert's movements, and not with a button, as in Mario Bros. Or other action games. Now, nearly everyone that's played a video game has at one point in their life said a bad word, a cuss word, a swear word. They said something naughty. And in the game Qbert, Qbert is relatable to those gamers, because Qbert cusses in this game. Now, Qbert is not directly explicit, so don't worry parents, all of his cuss words are in the form of censored words, symbols, and letters, as well as a jarbled sound of synthetic voice. So what you're hearing in this game and seeing is Qbert saying a bad word, which you can relate to as a gamer, because when you get challenged in a video game, when it gets stressful, when it gets tough, when you start losing, you might want to say a cuss word here and there. So when you lose a life in Qbert and Qbert says a bad word on the screen, it's not only funny, it makes it iconic, it makes it relatable to the gamer, and it gives it some sort of a presence and a cultural impact that people will remember. It's a significant character from the golden age of arcade games, and this is one of the main things that he's known for. The cuss words, swear words, bad words that might appear on screen, and the sound effects that you're associated with Qbert. Now, Qbert was actually owned at one point in time by Columbia Pictures, who acquired it from Gottlieb, the developers of the video game. Columbia Pictures is now owned by Sony and Sony Pictures, so Sony has licensed it over to Disney for the movie Wreck-It Ralph, which Qbert made a cameo in. He also made a cameo in the movie Pixels with Adam Sandler, and that was a Sony movie as well. So he's got some fame to his name. Now to focus on the gameplay, Qbert has you hopping from cube to cube on the top of a giant pyramid, changing the colors of the tops of the cubes one by one. In the early levels of the game, you only need to change the color once on each cube. This can be done by jumping on it simply and jumping to the next one. Once you jump on that cube, it will change to the specific color of that level, and when you've completed your color changing on the entire pyramid, it's on to the next level. At certain points in the game, on either the left or right side of the pyramid, there are platforms you can jump off the pyramid onto. Now these platforms will bring you back to the top of the pyramid for safety, and allow you to escape the enemies. Yes, there are enemies in this game. There are multiple types of enemies in the game Qbert. One of them is a snake. He will jump around, and if he touches Qbert, you will lose a life, and have to continue on your next life until you get a game over. Another enemy on Qbert can change the color of the squares back to their default color, thus making Qbert jump back over them again later in the level. But on this Atari 2600 port by Parker Brothers, there is actually less enemies than the arcade version, so there's only 2 different types of enemies on this version today. Now regarding control in this game, the game is presented in a pseudo-3D, isometric viewpoint and graphic style. So you're looking at these boxes that look like they're 3-dimensional because of the way they're drawn, isometric. And they have a 3D dimension to them because you're jumping diagonally. Now to be honest with you guys, I am not from the golden age of arcade gaming. I wasn't even born or alive in the 80s. So, when I played Qbert, it was for the first time on this PS1 version. Yes, the PlayStation 1. And this is one of the better ports and collections of Qbert games out there. So I definitely have some very fond early memories of playing the game Qbert as a kid. And regarding controls of the game, I do remember that it was difficult at first to control Qbert because of the way you move diagonally. So I definitely remember Qbert being a challenge to play at first because of the control. You're moving in a diagonal direction, not straight up and down, left and right. You're moving towards the corners of each of the isometric cubes. And that's how you play throughout the whole game. You don't ever move left or right, up and down, although sometimes you'll be pressing those directions on the joystick, or the PlayStation controller, for example, and it does take a little bit of time to think about it. On this PlayStation 1 version, there's the option to change the controls so you use the left, right, up, and down to move Qbert, or the ability to press the diagonal buttons on the controller to allow you to move in a more arcade joystick style setting. And sometimes on Qbert you can get carried away and fall off the edge accidentally by moving the joystick a little too fast, so you move off the edge and fall to your doom. Because on the game Qbert there are no boundaries or walls. If you jump off the cube the wrong direction where there's no other cube to land on, you will still fall. Alright, that's about it for Qbert today on Howybird Games' GAMERpiece Theatre. We checked out Qbert on the Atari 2600 and the PlayStation 1, and different ports of the games, and checked out the game's history, some facts, some more information about the gameplay, the sound, and the character Qbert as well. If you like this video, please stay tuned to Howybird Games for more GAMERpiece Theatre. You can subscribe today, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Alright everybody, have a great day.